Dish.
Good day to all. Malcolm speaking. My apologies for Mrs. Tisha Walker Brown. She's logging in as we speak.
Thanks for the update, Mr. Malcolm.
Testing, testing.
All right, welcome everyone. Walker Brown. We're about to begin.
Jamaica, Jamaica, American land we love.
All right, so good evening, everyone. Welcome to University Student Union Presidential Debate 2020. Especially welcome to our special invited guest, special welcome to our special invited guest, or watching on the Zoom platform, and those of you who are live on our YouTube channel at CMU Students Union. At this time, I will use the opportunity to introduce to you our chairperson for this evening's program. He is no stranger to us. He is a customs officer by profession. He is currently the projects director at the Jamaica Customs Agency. And in addition to that, he is also an adjunct lecturer here at the Caribbean Maritime University. In 2019, he was elected Lecturer of the Year by the student population. And by now, we're pretty much aware of who I'm speaking of. I speak of none other than Mr. Sean Barrow, who will be bringing us through today's proceeding. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. Palmer. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for that. Let me welcome everyone. Let me welcome everyone to this year's debating competition, and the persons being put on, by the Caribbean Maritime University, and those taking part, of course, are the persons who are vying for the post of president for the Caribbean Maritime University's Student Union. And so we have three persons vying for that position this evening. We have Glenardo Simpson, Salima Affleck, and of course, Mr. Jordan Trout. And so this evening has promised to be an enlightening one. And we all know that debates have been in the air because we have an upcoming general elections, and the debates have been going on, and we have all been tuning in, and they have really been, living up to what some of them have been, hyped up to be. And so this evening will be no less. I know that the CMU students will bring their A game, and of course you will be enlightened and entertained, but that is just one part of it. They will be presenting to you what it is that they plan to do should they be elected president, and how they would go about doing so. At this time, I'm going to be inviting Mrs. Tisha Walker-Brown to bring greetings. She is the Assistant Director of Student Affairs, and she will be bringing greetings at this time. Please make her welcome on social, give her a social media welcome.
Pleasant afternoon, everyone. Well, you won't be seeing my face, but certainly you're hearing my voice. I want to just send my personal welcome to everyone. We miss you at the CMU, and I'm bringing greetings on behalf of the entire CMU staff, particularly the management of the CMU and the Director of Student Affairs, Ms. Donette Phillips. So everyone, welcome to this forum. I am happy that this forum has been presented. So even in the midst of our pandemic and all that's happening around us, that we can still find this time, this opportunity to hear the voices of the candidates who are vying for positions on the student union. And I want to say that you, the student body listening on, it is your decision that will count. So it is important for you to go out or wherever it is, however it is you're facilitated, to cast your votes. Cast your vote so that you can allow your voices to be heard. And we know, as Sir said earlier, Mr. Burrows, that an impending election, is looming. And so we can take our cues from that with what is happening with the debates that have happened today. And I want to say to us that just ensure that you listen to all the arguments presented. And from those, then you look at what are those that are viable? What are those that you think are there for your interest? And again, may the best man and woman, or woman rather, win. Again, I really want to welcome everyone. I am looking forward to working with you. This year, I'm sure the person who is selected, you're not going to have a normal or an ordinary period. I can tell you already, based on what is happening in our society, that it's going to be a very trying time working with students. I mean, for the first semester in and of itself, classes will be online. So you will have to find ways of engaging your student body, that's unprecedented. And so we will be working together to ensure that we reach the student body and that they can feel our presence. And that is going to be very important. Again, as others would say, we're not in the normal. It is a new normal now that has been created, but I look forward to working with you. And again, may the best person win. All the very best. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Tisha Walker Brown. Thank you so much for that stimulating greeting, and thanks for encouraging the students and also advising and informing them of the hard work that they have ahead. But CMU students are used to hard work. They are used to juggling so many things at one time: schoolwork, fit, partying, host this, host that, traveling. So they are used to it. And so I'm sure they are all prepared, and with you behind them and the entire student population, they will be ready. And so this is why the entire student population, you are required to be with them. In fact, you will be the one who will be electing them. And so the elections to elect the 2020-2021 student body representatives will start on Tuesday, September 1 at midnight, and will close on Thursday, September 3 at midday. I don't know if anybody realizes that it coincides with a very national issue as well, right? So voting will be done online on the student registration system, right? The SRS system. So please ensure that you participate. Please ensure that you don't sit back and say, "Sure, me no know," or whatever, me no interested. You need to elect persons who will serve. And so that's why we invite you to listen in on the debate this evening, listen to the arguments that they are presenting, and use that to guide your choice for president. And so I encourage all of you to join in. Let me welcome all the listeners all in the social media platforms, YouTube and Zoom, and all the listeners in social media land, and a special welcome to all the students of the University of the Caribbean Maritime University. All right, at this time, Mr. Rahim Palmer will be my timekeeper, and also will be monitoring the chats that come in the chat room. So the questions rather that will be coming via that forum. And so he'll be reading those questions as we go along. And so for this segment, each candidate will now be given 3 to 5 minutes, between 3 and 5 minutes, to present their opening speech. And they will go, and this is the order in which they will go: Glenardo Simpson, then Salima Afflick, and then Jordan Trout. And do remember that each presenter, each time you're presenting, you need to turn on your video and ensure that you unmute your microphone. And so at this time, we are going to be getting the presenters. So remember, Mr. Palmer, Rahim Palmer, you are timing for me, my timekeeper. Thank you so much. So 5 minutes is a maximum that each speaker has. They can go between 3 and 5 minutes. All right, so the first up is none other than Mr. Glenardo Simpson. let us welcome Glenardo as he takes to the lectern or the online lectern to present his arguments.
Yes, thanks, Mr. Barnes. Pleasant afternoon to our moderator, our chairperson, fellow candidates, and our viewers on the various social media platforms. So for those who don't know, my name is Glenardo Simpson. I am a humble, optimistic, God-fearing, passionate, goal-oriented, jovial, hardworking individual. I believe that I'm capable for the position of president because I have garnered enough knowledge, and I can say I have garnered the requisite experience that a position of this nature needs, especially in a period where we are tasked by this pandemic. So what then is the role of a president? Because from time to time you have persons asking that the president's role is a role that, hey, they're not fully understanding. Is it that you just manage the union or the affairs of the union, so to speak? And I'm here just to give a simple synopsis of what is the role of the president, rather. So the mission and purpose of the student union, first and foremost, is to develop and work with a team that embrace forward thinking and innovation by being tactful and effective through the mediums of communication whilst maintaining accountability and transparency. Those two are two pillars or cornerstone that the union, in my opinion, must possess. So through innovation, strive to enhance the Caribbean Maritime University experience by unifying the student body, fostering cohesion, and creating an augmented community equally inclusive to all students on all campuses. Also, I have been given, there's some setbacks and flaws from the previous year. And one might ask the question, why is it that Glenardo Simpson is vying now for the post of president when he was in the same position last year? So last year, I'm sure that you would have been seeing that a lot of stuff was achieved under my watch. The 6% reduction in tuition, where I am the first president in the history of the Caribbean Maritime University to successfully lobby for a tuition reduction. Also, the formation of the class representative groups, which was geared towards bridging the gap between communication that we face from students to administration and the union, which is the middleman between both parties, right? So even though we didn't have a direct means of communication, the class rep group provided that, and I'm sure the students that are viewing now can attest to this. Also, we in the latter part of this academic year, myself and the president of the Caribbean Maritime University and the deputy president at the time, Mr. Noel Brown, was in dialogue with the American Caribbean Maritime Foundation for the acquisitions of laptop computers, which will be geared towards students who are faced by hardships, who cannot possess a device to access online learning. And in this current stage where we know that for this upcoming semester, that for the first semester we will be online, I think this is a pivotal role that the ACMF is playing in trying to sponsor us these laptop computers. And as if I'm elected as your president, I pledge and I will ensure that these laptop computers are given into the hands of needy and well-deserved students. So the position of president is understood to be by no means an easy task. And as a result, through this, we have allowed, it has allowed me rather to analyze the productivity and the unity of the student body and what it takes to be the head of a team that have various beliefs, various opinions, understanding those aforementioned without compromising these relationships and individuals' roles of the various members. Therefore, team, together we achieve more, becomes necessary. So enlisted here on is some pointers derived from my manifesto for this upcoming year. So one area that was lacking from last administration under my watch was the welfare program. In truth and honest, the welfare program didn't take off as we wanted it to. So for this academic year, I can pledge and I can assure because I don't only talk, but I back the talk with substance and action. There will be a COVID-19 relief grant for all students across all faculties. So every student will come on to Port Royal, Western Campus, and all the other intermediate faculties or programs.
Thank you, Mr. Simpson. Thank you so much.
Okay, then. Thank you so much for monitoring that for me, Mr. Palmer. Thank you so much, Mr. Simpson, for presenting for your opening argument. We now move to Salima Affleck.
Good day, everyone. Are you guys hearing me and seeing me? There we go.
Yes, we are.
Hey, everyone, I'm Salima Affleck. I'm a third-year student pursuing a bachelor's in cybersecurity and digital forensics now. Earlier this month, I had made a video outlining all the implementations I had in store for the upcoming semester had I been elected for president based on a face-to-face approach to learning before I was formally notified of classes being moved online now. If you follow me on social media, then you know that I'm a very vocal person when it comes to student issues, and realizing how much attention my platform and my voice garners is what made me decide to use my voice to represent the students, as I believe that we're not being properly represented. No, the pandemic is what really made me realize that in truth and in fact, the union has not been having the students' best interests at heart. And I've used my platform to repeatedly call out the university on my social media to do more for the students during the pandemic, such as partnering with telecommunication companies to provide more mobile data plans for students who do not have access to Wi-Fi. I suggested that they could use a portion of all the profits they've made from tuition or even fundraising activities to purchase tablets for students who do not own a tablet nor a laptop. And I also suggested that the university could provide food supplies or grants to needy students. Now, a couple weeks after I had made this suggestion, the university released a statement saying that they were creating a food bank to supply needy students with non-perishable items, and those persons who are interested in helping should reach out to the student affairs. Now, I purchased a box of food. I reached out to the student affairs and was told that they would get back to me. And to this day, they've not gotten back to me. Now, this specific issue is what made me realize that everything so far has just been about public relations. It's just about putting on a face to make the university look good, when in reality, the students are suffering. Now, the students need someone who genuinely understands the issues and wants to help, because they do care, rather than someone who wants this position to make their resume look good. Now, regarding online classes, the implementations that I will make if I am elected president for this semester are asking the university to create a portal within our SRS to request official school letters and to pay via Paymaster and upload the receipts to the portal. And these letters will be sent to the students through the post office by the university bearers. Now, another implementation will be partnering with large companies or even using profits from our previous fundraising activities to purchase tablets for students who are in need. I also believe that the university needs a more flexible payment plan to be introduced, seeing that we're going through a lot right now, and there are students who will not be able to finance themselves for back to school. Now, another important implementation should be encouraging lecturers to move towards pre-recorded classes, as sometimes students miss online classes due to network issues which affect the Wi-Fi, or even Wi-Fi issues due to the loss of electricity. Now, the movement of classes online means that students won't have access to the school's library, and this issue can be easily resolved by updating the Emerald portal and giving each student of every program access to adequate ebooks and past papers. Now, while this portal does contain some information, it does not contain information on all courses. For example, my course, cybersecurity and digital forensics. Now, the statement I'm about to make is not a promise or a statement to mislead students, as this is much bigger than the students' union. The main concern by students right now is the cost of tuition and auxiliary fee. And personally, I think it's rather unfair to be paying the same tuition and not being able to access the physical resources covered by the tuition on campus. No, I don't think I should be paying close to $600,000 for my course to be at home sitting on my laptop all day, increasing my utilities, which will not be paid by the university. And if I'm elected president, I'll make it my point of view to have a sit down with the CME Board of Admin to explain to them why the tuition should be reduced and how much this would be beneficial to students in such a troubling time. Now, Glenardo mentioned that the tuition for last year was decreased by 6%, which this claim was discredited. And for example, I paid my tuition from last year, June and if this tuition was reduced, I went to the register and I was told that I will be reimbursed for this year's tuition. And I'd like to know if the tuition was reduced last year, if that money will be added to this year's tuition. Also, regarding the class rep group, that was very ineffective because being a class rep myself, I was not added to group. I was not added to the group. So this is a very unfair statement to make. Thank you.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for that, Salima. Thank you, Salima, for presenting your point. That was to the point and within the time allotted. And our final person in this segment making his presentation is none other than Jordan Trout. Jordan, we welcome you as you do your presentation.
Thank you. Can everybody hear me?
Clear.
Okay. On this very day in 1963, the great Martin Luther King Jr., a man who was for the people, delivered his powerful and indelible I Have a Dream speech. Today, August 28th, I, Jordan George Trout, a young man who is here for you, the students, will participate in our presidential debate. Without further ado, I must acknowledge my rival candidates, Ms. Affleck and Mr. Simpson. My respect to you both. To our chairperson, Mr. Sean Barrow, the school's administrative staff, and last but not least, the people who are tuned in, especially my CMU peers. Hello to you all. I hope that this debate proves to be informative. Aren't we tired of elected leaders who go completely absent in our school journey after being assigned a particular role? Aren't we tired of the inadequate representations of students from both the Port Royal and the main campus? Aren't we tired of leaders just not doing enough for us students overall? We're currently going through a period whereby we require a leader who is reliable, competent, and hardworking in order to help us address the matters that will arise in the past. Based on the performance of the past Students' Union body, we can all come to one conclusion, and it is very evident. There is much needed improvement as it relates to the ways how matters affecting us students are dealt with. I believe that I have developed certain attributes which can add value to our Students' Union body to enable them to better serve you, the students of this institution. The new school year will bring forth new experiences and, without a doubt, new challenges. You will need someone with an indomitable spirit to address these matters on your behalf, to ensure that your best interest is always at heart. When we think of problems that will arise, we can think about difficulties that will be faced during our online classes. The exorbitant tuition costs that we are required to pay during a time when we're facing a world crisis. You will need a leader who is willing and competent enough to address these matters on your behalf. The Students' Union body is here. Let me reiterate. The Students' Union body should be here to ensure that all students are treated fairly, are given equal opportunities, and have a voice. Over the past years, we have seen everything else but these core qualities being illustrated. Instead, what have we seen? Lack of representation, lack of planning and preparation, lack of the urge to serve you, the students. My fellow schoolmates, change is mandatory and change is here. In order for us to see positive movements in our institution, we must make a change to safely move forward. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Trout. Thank you very much, sir. And the debate is getting hotter and hotter. Each presenter is really making the rounds and presenting their arguments why you should vote for that person to be your student union president. And ladies and gentlemen, students, I am sure that you are listening in and of course, making your selection little by little and seeing whom you should vote for. At this time, ladies and gentlemen, this segment will last for 20 minutes. We will be the candidates will be fielding questions from the university's internal team and of course from the chairman, myself. And this segment will be for 20 minutes. And each person, each candidate, so that's Glenardo Simpson, Salima Affleck and Jordan Trout, each of them has 1 minute to respond to a question put to them. Also, if a question is being asked and it is not a direct question, a question directed at an individual for that particular individual to answer, then the question will be answered by all three candidates. And of course, we will go in the order of their presentation. So first, we had Glenardo Simpson, then Salima Affleck, and then Jordan Trout. And so the questions coming from the panelists can be general, as I mentioned, or they could be directed to a candidate, right? And as I mentioned, each candidate has 1 minute to answer the question put to them. All right. So at this time, I will be introducing the university's internal panel. And as I introduce you, I'm going to ask that you turn on your video and be acknowledged. All right, first up, we have Mrs. Killeen Johnson Davis, lecturer at the Caribbean Maritime University and programs coordinator. Mrs. Killeen Johnson, would you please acknowledge your presence?
Good afternoon, everyone. Mr. Barrow, Mr. Palmer, and all the other persons who have joined us online from the university. So I'm honored to be a part of the panel, and I am wishing all the three participants all the best as they go forward.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Johnson Davis. Thank you so much. We have Mr. George Malcolm, Dean of Discipline in the Office of Student Affairs at the CMU.
Greetings to you all. Thank you, Mr. Barrows, Raheem Palmer. Thank you, everybody, for having me here. I am honored, and best of luck to all the candidates, and I am ready to ask the questions.
Thank you so much, Mr. Malcolm. Thank you so much. Mr. Carlos Jones is the Billings and Receivables Officer in the Office of the Treasury.
Hi, good day, everyone. Thank you very much, Mr. Barrow, Mr. Palmer, and everyone. Thank you guys for having me. I'm looking forward to see the end results of such, and I want to say all the best to everyone, to all three candidates.
Thank you so much, Mr. Jones. Thank you so much for that. Now, we should be having our university registrar, Dr. Mark Broomfield, but I don't think Dr. Broomfield will be joining us this evening or this afternoon due to some unforeseen circumstances. I gather he's still trying to join us, but if he does, we will be happy to welcome him whenever he does so. And so we will be going forward now with the question. So do remember, just in case, let me inform our social media participants that your segment is coming. We have a 25-minute segment for you where questions will be fielded from you, questions that you sent into the chat, which will be read by Mr. Raheem Palmer, who is dealing with all the technical aspects and the information technological aspects of the debate this evening. So at this time, we will be taking questions from the panelists. Panelists, who will be going first? If you are going first with your question, just turn on your video and go ahead with your question. If it is directed at a participant, please call the name of the person. If not, if it's a general question, then I will guide each candidate in answering the question.
I think I'll go first. All right, so my first question will be directed to Mr. Simpson. As it relates to the welfare program, I heard you mention that you had some issues with getting it off the ground last academic year. My question is, what different approach or what will you do differently to ensure that such is off the ground or get off the ground for this academic year coming, if re-elected as president?
Thank you, Mr. Jones, for that question. So already we have been in discussion with the new treasurer, and the interim president, Mr. Evan Dugan, to have measures being put in place to address students, because we are knowledgeable that we are in a pandemic. And because of this, it is the reality that a lot of students are not sure where their tuition fee will be coming from, or where they will be getting access to a credible Wi-Fi or the device to use to participate in online sessions. As my fellow candidates mentioned, the fees listed or quoted are extremely exorbitant. And just before we demitted office, we penned some letters to the administration requesting that the fees be deducted. So far, we have gotten a favorable response, and I have been affirmed or reassured by the president that this fees, especially the auxiliary fee, we will see a decrease in the auxiliary fee. So when it comes to welfare now, last year we were struggling with finance, because as anybody know about the union now, it's all about what comes in that is being tabulated so that we can trump up to issue out to students. But from the last administration, there have been some amount of money left in the kitty, and this capital will be used to finance direct to the welfare program. So all the activities that were slated for the ending parts of the academic year, 2019-2020, that fund will be used to offset grants for students and to the acquisitions of computers, as I mentioned earlier, through a sponsorship from the American Caribbean Maritime Foundation, to see how best and how wide we can reach our students, because it's a testing time, but I'm here and I pledge to ensure that this is done. Thank you.
Oh, sorry. I just said a lot a while ago, realizing that I was still muted. Thank you so much, Mr. Simpson, for answering the question, or for fielding the question put to you by Mr. Jones. We will now take another question from one of the other panelists. I see Mr. Malcolm. Mr. Malcolm's video is open and ready. And so, Mr. Malcolm, please go ahead with your question.
Yes, good day again, everybody. Seeing that we are now in crisis, this is a general question to all. Seeing that we know that we're in crisis and majority of what we will be doing is online, how do you plan to advocate for the students and assist students where necessary? What are your plans for that?
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Malcolm. So this is a general question that will be fielded by all three candidates. And as I mentioned earlier, we'll just go in the order of how they presented. And so, Mr. Simpson, they say the first shall be the last and the last shall be the first. You just presented, but you just answered, but you'll be going again. And do remember that you have 1 minute in which to answer the question put to you. So, Mr. Simpson, you will take the question. You'll take a shot at answering, and then Salima Affleck, then Jordan Trout. Go ahead.
The question just be posed once more. Thank you.
Well, what he said is that, if I am paraphrasing, he said, in light of the COVID-19 situation, classes will now be online. How will you assist in getting students? Mr. Malcolm, please tell me if I'm paraphrasing you correctly. How will you assist the student stimulating in really?
Yes, yes. How will you assist students and advocate for students, whether financially or academically, seeing that you won't be face to face? What's your plans for that?
Right, once again, thanks for the question. So as mentioned earlier, we have already put in a plan, which is termed as the COVID-19 relief grant, that will be used to help students offset tuition expenses. Now, from the academic side, we all are knowledgeable of the tutorials. I'm a tutor, and I have been an avid tutor over the past 3 years. And we have seen where, through the tutorials, where a lot of students have benefit from the services given to them to where in areas where they are not so strong. So we plan to use and mobilize the tutorials and in partnership with the union to get more online sessions, get more study marathons with any other medium there is to get it out to our students and help them in these areas that they find challenging so that their experience in this academic year, though posed to be challenging, can be rather more smoothly. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Simpson. We now take Salima. Salima will be taking her shot at this question. Go ahead, Salima.
Thank you for that question. No, my plan, if I'm elected as president, to assist students via online learning. Now, as I mentioned before in my opening statements, I will lobby for there to be pre-recorded classes because there's students who will be affected. For example, if their Wi-Fi is on, if there's any loss of electricity. Now, another plan that I will have in place is using our social media platforms to communicate with students effectively. So if it is that students have questions, they can text, they can send a DM via our Instagram, they can send an email. If we have a Facebook page, any social media platform that will put us in communication with students. I'm also thinking of creating a helpline for students that will be operated by the Students' Union. A lot of students are complaining that they're calling the university and not getting through. So if it is that case, they will be provided with a hotline number for the Students' Union where we will broker any questions or anything that they have with the rest of the university. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Affleck. And now Jordan Trout will respond.
Okay, so thank you for the question, Mr. Malcolm. Now, we know that these online classes we will see a lot of problem arising for the students, especially as it relates to academics. A lot of these students live in rural areas whereby they don't have the accessibility to certain infrastructure, technological infrastructure as the students who are in the urban areas. So as it relates to advocating for the students, what I will do is ensure that we use our social media platform. Social media is a very powerful tool. What I will do is ensure that we run regular surveys to ensure that we have an idea of the problems which are affecting these students, and then we will take a step forward from there. And as it relates to assisting them academically, Glenardo mentioned the tutorials. I am the president for a tutorials club, customs, for the custom side. Now, this is something that we have always been doing, but now we plan to do it even better. We will orchestrate online classes for the students to ensure that they are helped in the areas where they are weak. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Mr. Trout. Thank you very much, Mr. Trout. I tell you, man, this is, not even the national debate is really garnering this much heat. And I tell you, man, the debaters are on fire. They are on fire, and I see some future leaders and movers and shakers in our debaters this evening. I tell you, if they really take that passion and carry it with them throughout life, they will really be a force to be reckoned with. Are there any other I have a question that I need to field.
Yes,
but
I do. I have a
of course,
question.
I will yield to the panelists first. So Mrs.
Yes,
John,
thank you very much.
coming with her question.
I wanted to point this to Mr. Simpson. He made reference to using funds to assist students in getting devices and so on, although you'll be partnering with somebody. My concern is seeing that we're going to have a very extra normal type of academic year. The union normally has several events that they raise funds from. So your funds are more than likely going to be depleted this year. Also, I'm aware of some obligations outside of what you're pursuing now that the union would have to the union members, some benefits, so to speak. So at the end of the day, when all of that is spent and you have helped all of those who are to be helped, how are we going to actually replace some of that lost funds? Since the students are not on campus, you're not able to host events. Well, I can only speak of the semester to come. We don't know what will happen in the January semester, but it is concerning as to how you're going to survive financially. Any ideas about that?
Right. Thanks, Ms. Johnson Davis, for the question. So
All right.
as mentioned earlier, over the last semester, we had a lot of events that were slated and they weren't held because the coronavirus came into being. So competitions like Mr. and Miss CMU, CMU Grammys, those would have drawn a lot of capital from the union's budget. So because those were big ticket items that weren't held, those funds now will be put into place to be used as grants for students. It's clearly and it's quite evident that we won't be having a lot of activities or no activity at all as it pertains to face-to-face. So a lot of these incomes that would capital rather that would be generated into pumping revenue into these events such as Freshers Fest. This capital now will be used to mobilize the students to ensure that they have been given enough assistance. So as far as we can allow it to reach, we'll try and have it been reached.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Simpson. Do we have a question coming? Well, we got questions now from all our panelists. I'm sure they have other questions, but I'm going to pose a question to all three panelists. This question for you. I want you, all three panelists, this question is for all of you. I want you to tell me, within the Jamaican political landscape, which politician would you like to emulate and why? Which politician would you like to emulate and why? And how would you use his or her political skills or leadership traits to better able serve the CMU students? So which Jamaican, within the political Jamaican landscape, which Jamaican politician would you like to emulate? Which person you admire? Something about them and why, and how would you use his or her political skills or traits, even one trait, one characteristic, to really better serve the CMU students? All right, as I mentioned, we'll be going within the order of the speech. So Glenardo, the buck always starts with you. All right, so Mr. Simpson, do remember that you have only a minute to respond. Each person, you don't have only a minute to respond. All right, go ahead.
All right, thanks, Mr. Barrows. So I wouldn't say it's just one person. I'm not personally affiliated with a political party, and I have admired a lot of persons from both sides of the house. From the People's National Party, I have admired Michael Manley and his administration and the work that he would have been doing in the foundation or the earlier part in the 1980s, coming up into the 1990s. Laying down plans, laying down foundation for the betterment of Jamaica. He's a good orchestrator of plans. Now on the JLP side of things, I admire Andrew Michael Holness a lot. Reason being, he's a people person. He knows how to mobilize people and he knows how to get them on his side to move towards a better mission. So he has the vision and he gets people to help the vision be achieved. So these two persons, one the orchestrator, one the executor, these fuse them together, and that characteristic, those attributes is what is going to help me to really move the student union to greater heights.
Thank you so much, Mr. Simpson. We now go to Salima Affleck.
Okay, now I admire Lisa Hanna. Reason being, she's a very charismatic person. She's a pageant lady, and I myself will classify myself as a pageant girl, having entered many pageants over time now. While Lisa Hanna, she has done a very good job and she knows how to use social media. As I said, we're going into a technological era and she's using her social media to promote what she has been doing, which has been for the people now. I'm all for woman power, and Lisa Hanna emulates that so much, and I'm inspired by her. And as I said, it's all about using your personality and your platform and your voice. It's not just about beauty. There's a lot of brains behind Lisa Hanna. And I think she's my inspiration in politics. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Salima Affleck. Thank you so much. So we have Glenardo Simpson who spoke and Salima Affleck who just took it. And now we are going to go to the Jordan Trout. Mr. Trout, your 1 minute begins now.
Great question, Mr. Barrow. Now, unfortunately, the leader who I'd like to emulate is Miss Shine Robinson. She passed away. R.I.P. to her. Now, she was a people person. I want to be here for you, the students. Miss Shiny was here for the people in her constituency. She actually worked. She was not a person who was full of talk. She just worked. Now, she's a person whereby was never, well, was in the media, was never involved in any corruption scandals or anything like that. Anytime you hear her name, it is always something good. So she's the person that I would like to emulate, and her attributes are what I'd like to bring to the Students' Union body to ensure that I'm here for you, the students. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Trout. Any of the other panelists have any more? So I'm going to yield now to the panelists again with questions coming from them. Panelists, shall I have questions I can field, but I want to give a fair.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so I heard Mrs. Johnson Davis first, and then Mr. Malcolm.
Right. So this semester, I'm gonna stick to the semester because we really don't know what will happen in January, although it might be much of the same. But students have always complained about not being in touch with the Students' Union, or the Students' Union not being in touch with the students and their needs. I heard Leonardo mention the class rep system, and I heard about it prior to this. And it seems as if it worked. It worked to a point. I'm not sure how successful it has been, but it's clearly going to be a lot more challenging this semester since people are not physically going to be on campus. I'm directing my question to all three of you. How will you improve on communication? And I'm going to caution us not to just rely on social media, because not all students are avid users of social media. Are you thinking outside of that box? Maybe I'm answering the question for you, but I would like to hear your views on how you're going to actually make all efforts to meet all the students and to find out what's going on with them.
All right, I know I did say that we'll be going to stick to the Glenardo answers first, but oh my goodness, I think I'm going to switch it up somewhat. So I'm going to start with my fair lady, Salima, and then Jordan, and then Glenardo. All right.
Okay, so I think, can I go ahead?
Go right ahead, my dear.
Okay, so I think one of the main issues that the Students' Union have is that they're not very transparent, or they do not communicate enough with students. And while you're saying that, Ms. stated, the lady earlier, she stated that we must not rely solely on social media. We have to understand that we're young people, and nearly all young persons rely on social media for their medium of communication. Now, apart from social media, the use of email, because college students, they rely on emails a lot, and I realized that we don't really get much emails from the Students' Union. They're mostly from the university and not the union. So I believe that that's one way we can use by utilizing our emails more. I also believe that we should be in more dialogue with the administration. So any issues that we have, we take it to admin, we sort it out, and then we use emails, we can use SMS, or we can also use our social media platforms to let the students know what we were in dialogue about and any updates that we might have. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Ms. Affleck. We now take Mr. Jordan Trout.
Okay, thank you for that question. Now, you made a great point, miss. Not all students are actually on social media, but I'm certain that majority of these students actually have smartphones to be on WhatsApp, or as Ms. Affleck said, use email. So the failed system that Leonardo Simpson used about the representatives, class representatives, what I would do is I would ensure that this system works. I would use these representatives as scouts to know what is wrong with these students. You know that majority of the students are in the class rep group. So these students can relay the messages onto the class reps, and the class reps can relay the messages to us. And also transparency. We will ensure that our class reps get the information to those students who are in the group to ensure that everybody knows what is happening in their environment. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Trout. And now we go to Mr. Simpson for his 1 minute.
So I heard that the both candidates were quick to hit down that the classwork group was a failure. But as with any new plan, you know, there might be hiccups on the way. And yes, we are alluding to the fact that there are hiccups, you know, but the classwork group was a medium which improved communication from the union to our students by over 70%. Through the classwork group, you saw that a lot of more dialogue was being had between the students and the union representative. And a lot of students can attest to this. But as the other two candidates correctly stated, there must be a more multifaceted approach. So the use of emails, right? But one thing we have to remind ourselves is that, again, it is the truth and the fact that a lot of students does not have access to devices or Wi-Fi connections. So we have to find ways, whether it means to making printable materials, to deposit, to send them to post mails to the different houses, or we have to go back to the drawing board. As I said, a lot of reinforcement.
Your 1 minute is up, and so we
increase
go to
communication to the students.
The next panelist, Mr. George Malcolm, who had a question. Go ahead with your question.
Yes, the three candidates I believe would be familiar with me because we would have had some prior running. However, my question to the candidates is the disciplinary unit are faced with minor and sometimes major misconducts. I would like to know what the candidates would do to have students or to assist the disciplinary unit to have students conform to the rules and regulations of the university.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, sir. I'm going to go into the same order that I went just now, with Salima starting, the lady takes the helm, and then Jordan Trout, and then Glenardo Simpson. You may go ahead. Salima, your minute.
Okay, thank you for that question, Mr. Malcolm. I've personally had my run-in with you regarding, disciplinary issues. Now, personally, I think that as a university, students should be able to express themselves. I feel like at CMU, we do not have enough freedom. And I'm not just talking, I know that we're wearing a uniform and, your uniform represents the university, but I feel like we do not have enough freedom. So regarding disciplinary, I feel like we need to allow students to express themselves a little bit more, that will express themselves in a way that will represent the university in a good way. But that's the best that I can say in regards to disciplinary. I just feel like we're not being able to express ourselves enough. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Salima. Now we are going to take Mr. Trout.
Okay. Great question, Mr. Malcolm. Thank you. Well, we know that we are a paramilitary school. Therefore, we will have different rules and regulations than the other universities. We are a school which wear uniform, and we must respect our uniform. But as Ms. Salima said, I believe that there should be certain, the school uniform, you have certain restrictions to us students that we have to question sometimes. However, yes, we have problems like the exotic socks, the extremely short skirts, and the colored hair. We understand we need to respect the school and we need to respect our uniform, but we think that students overall, as Salima said, should get a chance to better express themselves, but they should act accordingly to our student conduct. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Trout. I have just devised a follow-up question to you on Salima, but I will only pose that question. Let me see if Mr. Simpson, let us take Mr. Simpson's response. Mr. Simpson?
First and foremost, thanks for the question, Mr. Malcolm. I personally believe that it's the expectations of new graduates coming from high school into a university setup, where they have their colleagues going to a UTech or UE, and they wear clothes and colored hair and all of this other facade of things. So because of that, they're not really accustomed, or they're not really in sync to move into a paramilitary kind of institution. So I think one thing that we can do is provide a sensitization session to these students. Yes, freedom is necessary, but I think by sensitizing the students, it would help both hands, the disciplines and the students, because sometimes students don't really know that some of these infringements brought against them are there because a lot of persons don't have access to, they have access to the handbook, but a lot of students don't read it because of the medium to which it is being transmitted. So if we have an online session from the union to sensitize these students about the uniform code of conduct and these other things that from time to time the disciplinary unit find as a problem, then I believe that we'll have greater success rates between both parties. Thank you.
Time, Mr. Simpson, I'm sorry, I was still muted while talking. I have a follow-up question to Salima and Jordan. Salima mentioned about expressing students being allowed to express themselves, and Jordan cited other universities like UWI, who you can just wear anything that you want, no uniform code. To both of you, do you believe or do you not believe that if you give the students an inch, they will take a mile? Meaning you relax the rules somewhat, and then students will start turning up at school wearing anything. Why? Because even though there are rules where uniforms are concerned and students have deviated. So do you, this question, these are follow-up questions, and you're getting these follow-up questions, Jordan and Salima, based on the responses, your responses. Do you not think allowing students to express themselves will be opening the Pandora's box then, right? Do you not think that allowing students to express themselves or relaxing the rules will open Pandora's box, or will it prove as a panacea to the problem? Ms. Affleck, you may go first, and then Mr. Trout.
Yes, sir. So there is a popular statement that says, strict parents make sneaky kids. And I believe the reason why persons breach majority of these rules is because they feel like, they're just too strict. And personally, I do not believe that giving them an inch will allow them to take a mile. And if it is that we, for example, we relax the rules a bit, for example, wearing a transparent nose ring or something very, very tiny that is not noticeable, or even a third piercing on the lower lobe. If it is that students are beginning to breach these rules, then, as in the relaxed rules, then I believe in going back to the first set of rules. But I just believe that we should give them a chance, see how it works, and if it does, we can continue. If it does not, we remove it. But I think it's only fair to give the students a chance before making the judgment that, okay, if I give it to you, you're going to take a mile without any evidence to back this up. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, Ms. Affleck. Now, Mr. Trout.
Well, great question, Mr. Barrow. Now, that is true. It can be a possibility that if you give students an inch, they will take a mile. However, if the disciplinarians of our school allow our students to feel more like themselves and express themselves, and when they do this, if they give them an inch, as you say, what they can do is ensure that there are stricter measures if they break these rules, and that will kind of ensure that they adhere to the rules. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Affleck and Miss Affleck, I'm sorry, and Mr. Trout and Mr. Simpson. Thank you very much for really fielding the questions and being on your toes and ready to respond.
Mr. Barrow, may I interject, please?
You may interject. Go ahead.
The university's registrar is currently online, so we want to acknowledge Mr. Dr. Mark
Broomfield. Dr. Broomfield. Yes. Okay, he has joined us. I did make apology for him earlier and did state that he may join us at a later time. Thank you so much, Dr. Broomfield.
Good afternoon.
Dr. Broomfield, do you have any question? We just finished your segment. Did you have any question for any of the panelists? We'll make room for you, sir.
I have some questions, but if you will allow me, and please allow me to apologize for joining the meeting late. I get to understand that there are some candidates who were occupants of the office before.
Yes.
So I want to ask maybe two questions, if you will allow me. And the first one is, for those who represented the students before and are seeking to represent them again now, I want them to tell me what were the top three issues of the students when they joined the office. What were the top three issues that the students had when they took up the post to represent the students? And you can list them in terms of first, second, third, 1, 2, 3. What were the top three issues that students had?
All right. Thank you, Dr. Broomfield. But can we first, I know Glenardo is the current president. I don't know the status of Jordan Trout and Salima Affleck. Salima, did you occupy office before?
No, this is my first time running for any position in the students' union.
So
Okay,
her
so
question would be,
all right, so hold on. All right, so Jordan Trout.
What are the top three issues?
Jordan Out, have you run for office before?
No, sir, I haven't.
So this is Jordan's first. So what happens? I'm going to take the questions one by one. So
the question for those who have not occupied office before would be, tell me the top three issues that the students that you are seeking to represent have today.
All right, good. All right, so now, Glenardo Simpson, I'm going to allow you to respond to the first question, seeing that you are the only candidate who occupied office before. All right, and then I will go to Salima and Jordan. All right, go ahead, Mr.
All right, thank you, Mr. Bloomfield and Mr. Barrett. So 3 issues that we found to be topical, and some of them might be interlinked, is 1, the issue of transcript and status letter, which is still an issue, still a pressing issue that isn't not fully solved by the Office of the Registry, which Mr. Mark Bloomfield is so happily to lead. The second is communication from administration to the union to the student. So that is a thing that we saw and is still not fully achieved. And the final one is services. Services on a wide scope, right throughout CMU, whether it's with the Office of the Treasury, the Office of the Registry, Office of the Student Affairs. Students from time to time complain about the services garnered from representative of these offices and the time taken to, like for cell phone pickups, for when they're calling, they're not getting anybody on the cell phones, stuff like this. So these 3 things, the transcript, status letters, the communication, and the services. As I said, some of them, you can interlink them, but these are the 3 topical things that students really had when I took office, and I believe still has up to date.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Simpson. Now I'll be taking Salima Affleck and Jordan Trout for the next question. Salima, you're up first, and then follow Jordan.
So the top 3 issues that the students have been complaining about, well, recently, since I've begun running, 1 is the cost of tuition. Number 2, the lack of transparency whenever we're having any issues within the university. And 3, the poor communication between administration and the students. So those are the top 3 issues that the students are facing that I know about and that I've been in dialogue with students, and those are their issues.
All right, thank you very much, Ms. Affleck. Mr. Trout, your turn.
Okay, thank you. So, Mr. Simpson, it is a shame that you came into office and you saw these problems and you did nothing about them. Anyways, the problems that I see that will arise in the future, remember, we are not going to be facing normal schooling. This is online, therefore a lot of stuff will change. And this is a time whereby we have been in a world crisis, So the exorbitant school fees that we're facing, students did not get the chance to go and work and travel. Students' parents were not working. So these fees that we're facing, this is a problem. The learning process, online learning, it will take a time for our students to adapt to these learning processes. So this is a problem that I will help students with. And for the social interaction, students definitely feel disengaged with the students' union body, feel disengaged with the school, particularly the Port Royal students and the school on a whole. We need to ensure that we come together and ensure that students feel more connected to our school. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Trout. Thank you very much, Mr. Trout. Thank you very much for those questions, Dr. Broomfield. Thank you so
And
much.
I now ask my follow-up question.
Oh, you have follow-up question?
I asked that as part A to ask my part B. Now, if those are the issues that were identified as being the top 3 issues based on the candidates, what have you done to help remove those issues or to reduce their impact for President Glenardo? For the other 2 candidates, what will you do to address the 3 areas that you identified as being cost of tuition, disengagement with the student union, especially for the off-site students, communication? I think those are the 3. For Glenardo, it was services in general, transcripts, and letters or status letters. And I believe his 3rd one was
Dr. Broomfield, if I may interject, I think we're going to have to cut that down because we are well out of time, and the other social media participants are waiting. We're waiting to field their questions.
Okay.
Right, we're waiting to field their questions. So
they could just choose one area, don't tell me.
Right, I'm going to ask them to choose one area quickly.
Anyone.
Speak to that. You have 1 minute to respond, and then we move on. Thank you so much, Dr. Broomfield. All right, so Salima, Ms. Affleck, you're going to be starting, then Jordan, and then, oh no, I'm sorry. I think Glenardo Simpson is going to go first, seeing that he's going to speak on his follow-up. So you may select one, Mr. Simpson, and speak on it, and Jordan and Salima, you may select one as well and speak on those. All right, go ahead, Mr. Simpson.
Well, I'm going to try to compact them as quickly as possible.
Okay, if you want to go that route, quite fine.
Jordan mentioned, and he was quick to refute, that these things were not addressed. But obviously, you're not doing your research and you're not following up with the student union as a presidential candidate, sir. When it comes to transcript, we met with the registry. We had an online session during the COVID-19 pandemic to have a combo where we had 3 for 1 with transcript. A lot of students benefit from that. As it pertains to communication, we had online sessions with the student affairs. We had online sessions with the guidance counseling unit to keep students up to date, to find out how they were doing. As it pertains to service, again, we went to student affairs to have a live session to see how we could mix the internship and to see how we could link internship with students during the COVID-19 pandemic. So yes, sir, do your research before you're quick to refute evidence, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that, Mr. Simpson. I now go to Jordan, Salima Affleck, and then Jordan Trout.
Okay, so I mentioned that one of the issues that the students face is the lack of poor communication. Now, Bernardo just mentioned all the things that he did. And the thing is, if he did so much, why is it that we don't know about these things? Why is it that you only have a limited amount of persons who can access all these nice things that you just spoke about? If it is that you guys are working, we need to know. You guys have a social media platform. Most CMU students follow social media platform. The issue is poor communication. I applied for a transcript, and the only thing I got from the university was a call stating that, okay, I should let them know when I need the transcript. I did not know that, okay, there was another way it could be done. I did not know about this 3-in-1 combo. If it is that you are working, we need to know that you're working. You need to communicate with the students. You need to use the platforms that you are given, the appropriate platforms to communicate with students. We don't know what's going on. So it is wrong to say that we're refuting your claims or whatever. We don't know any better because we don't know what is going on. There's no form of communication, adequate communication between the union and the students.
Thank you very much, Ms. Affleck. Jordan Trout, your turn.
Exactly, Ms. Affleck. Okay, so Mr. Glenardo, you made this, we were here. So this highlights the problem that we're having as it relates to communication with us and the Students' Union. This shows how far we are apart. We didn't know. Ask the students, how many of you students know about this? I don't know. So one of the problems, the exorbitant school fees. Yes, Mr. Glenardo definitely helped us last semester, him and his administration. However, this semester, I think that it is necessary for us to see if there can be a reduction in the school tuition. We did not get to go and work and travel, which is some of our students is the only medium of funds for us. Our parents are not working. So what I will do is I will get in contact with the school's administrative staff to see what can be done. If there's nothing done there, then I will go a step further to the Ministry of Education to ensure that you students benefit and to ensure that you are back in school come September morning. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Trout. I said, Mr. Malcolm, you had your hand up for a while, and Mr. Jones also had another question. We're going to grab them quickly and then move on to our social media question or questions from social media. Mr. Malcolm?
Go ahead, Mr. Burrows. It was a follow-up from the freedom speech in which the students made.
Okay, then. All right. Thank you, sir. Mr. Jones?
All right. Thank you very much. I forgot to say congrats, Ms. Salima, on the approach that you took the other day, as you mentioned in your open speech, in regards to trying to reach to the university and where the COVID care package is concerned. I think that was a good move. A point to note, though, I heard you mention this in your opening speech. There was indeed an adjustment to the tuition for the academic year 2019-2020. My question for all three candidates, next question that is, which other union candidate proposal would you prioritize if elected to become the next union president for the academic year 2020-2021?
So again, which other did all the participants get that question? All right, so we'll be starting with you, Mr. Simpson, and then Salima, then Jordan. Go ahead.
All right. So the next portfolio that I would prioritize in this pandemic, especially, is definitely the welfare program. As mentioned earlier from the opening statement throughout this debate, the issue that we're having is that the students need a lot more, especially as Jordan correctly mentioned, maybe 90% I can say safely.
Yeah, no, I mean, no.
Dr. Broomfield, could you mute your microphone, please? Thank you.
All right, so as I was saying, Jordan correctly said that close to 85 to 90% of the students at CMU benefit from the work and travel program. So with all this being out of the window because of the pandemic, we have to do something as a union, as a university, to ensure that we compensate for the damages that the students would have gotten. So the welfare program, through the grants, through the acquisition of the laptop, through the sponsorship from the American Caribbean Maritime Foundation, and other stuff will be given immediate attention. So that's, for me, the welfare is the particular portfolio that would be prioritized.
All right, thank you, Mr. Simpson. Salima Affleck.
Yes, sir. Even though we are going through a pandemic and it is going to be very hard to approach learning through a face-to-face way, right? I think that another thing that I'd prioritize is that we should have blended learning. Personally, I don't do it with online classes. I am doing a cybersecurity course. My course is technical. There is no way on earth that I can do what I am supposed to do, especially I'm entering my third year. There are many technical things that I need to be. I have engineering students who have to do, technical things. So I think something I would prioritize is working with the university to see what way we can approach blended learning, like even having students coming in 1 to 2 days per week. You have one specific set of students coming in. This day you use the COVID protocols to space out students. You have enough sanitation stations. But I believe that we should definitely have blended learning because I am paying a lot of money to get hands-on experience, and this online thing, it won't cut it. So that's something I would definitely prioritize. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Affleck. Now for Mr. Trout.
So the question asked was, which one of the candidates initiative you would pursue if you were president, if you were elected president? Now, Ms. Salima, she had a great idea. Well, not a great idea. It's a problem that is plaguing us that we need to improve on. social interaction. Now, as seen, I made a point and Mr. Glenardo Simpson made his point to refute my point. However, it is evident that the social interaction between us students is definitely broken. He was making moves we did not know. He said he made changes, we did not see it. So that is one of the problems that I'll try and fix, or that I will ensure that I work towards fixing if I'm elected president. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Trout. We're going to be going to social media. And thank you so much. Thank you, Dr. Broomfield. I have one question I would like to ask all three of you. 30 seconds I'm giving you to answer, because we have already eaten in the time of our eager social media participants. I've listened to you put forward your manifesto per se. It's not the entire thing, but I've not heard any of you mentioned or addressed transportation. Where transportation is concerned, CMU is headquartered in a remote area. Where transportation is concerned, how would you plan to address that? That's for all three candidates. Over to you, Glenardo, and then to also.
All right, the reason why transportation wasn't given urgent attention in this debate or in my manifesto for this academic year is because of the move to go online. So because of that, we would have mobilized other resources to get other stuff done. Because the fact that students would be commuting from Harborview or Port Royal to main campus, or to Port Royal and vice versa to Harborview and other communities, surrounding communities, we didn't see it as an urgent thing to address. But transportation isn't an issue. And when we are back at school, then we can put plans and measures in place to address that.
Thank you so much, Glenardo. Salima?
To say transportation is not a major issue is a very unfair statement to me. Jasmine Bean was on her way home from school and she was allegedly kidnapped. No, I believe that any taxi driver who runs from Harborview to the university, whether it may be Port Royal campus or the main campus, they should be registered with the university. We need to know who we are traveling with, because sometimes you have strange taxi drivers who will come over at the university, and then at the end of the day, you hear that students are getting robbed. Also, for students who live in parishes like in St. Catherine, for example, we can organize for buses, whether our school buses or any external buses, for students to pay a fair price to be transported directly from the university, Port Royal campus or main campus directly to Portmore and Spanish Town. Thank you.
Thank you, Salima. Jordan?
Jarian.
Mr. Trout?
Okay, so great point. Transportation is definitely important to all the students. And as Mr. Glenardo said, we did not focus on it because of the changes that will be happening this semester. However, Ms. Salima, you said that we need to forge a partnership. Forge a partnership with the taxis that run to our school. Are they PPV, public PPV vehicles? Or, sorry, are they registered to carry us students? No. So this is something that we'll have to think about. We already have a partnership with the JUTC. What I think can be done is to reach out to the JUTC to ensure that more buses are put on the road, to ensure that students get from school to home in a prompt manner. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Trout. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Now we are going to the segment where our university students and social media and those on the social media platform participants, they have questions, and I'm going to now invite Mr. Rahib Palmer to read those questions. And some of the questions will be directly to persons, and some of them may be general. Do remember that you have a minute to respond to each question. This segment will last for 25 minutes. And so let me put on my clock to that 25-minute period. Go ahead, Mr. Palmer.
All right, so good afternoon again, everyone. The first question that I have here is coming from Shade Ajigal, and it is a general question. So it is saying, how will you increase awareness of the significant position to a wide range of students? Once again, how will you increase awareness of the significant to a wide range of students?
We lost some of your words. Could you read that question again, Mr. Palmer, please?
I'm sorry about that. I'm saying, how will you increase awareness of the significance of your position to a wide range of students? This is a general question.
Okay, so each candidate, you're going to be taking rounds in answering, starting with you, Glenardo.
First of all, I think there's a misconception in the position of president, and a lot of persons don't really understand the role of a president. The role of a president, as you know, he has other sub portfolios, welfare, treasury, and all these other areas. So he's the one to ensure that these portfolios are actually performing. So a lot of students might say, hey, Glenardo, you didn't do that, you didn't do this. It was under the VP, it was under the welfare, it was under the PRO. But it is the president's responsibility to ensure that these portfolios are actually performing portfolios. So in terms of awareness now, all we need to do is through effective communication, because as I said, it is an issue that we are struggling to really achieve. Through effective communication, we can bring a wider sense of awareness about the different portfolios and their roles and responsibilities.
Thank you very much. Salima Affleck.
The president of the Students' Union is not the sole student union. You have different members of the Students' Union who are tasked with different responsibilities. No, I don't think it should just be about the president. Okay, we know the president, but who is our treasurer? Who is our public relations officer? We should not focus so much on who is the head. It is a team of persons and everybody work collectively to ensure that we are getting everything done in the favor of the students. So it is unfair for Leonardo to say, oh, he's in charge of this and this and that, but you also have persons working with you, and it is very unfair to come on here and basically pretend like they do not exist. It's not just about the president, it is about everybody else as well. And I think that everybody in the Students' Union should be known through effective communication using, for example, our social media platform, especially now that we're having online classes.
Thank you very much, Salima Affleck. Thank you so much. And now we move to Jordan Trout to respond within a minute.
Okay, so great question. Thank you so much. Now, the president, yes, there are individual members in the Students' Union. It is a team effort. However, the president is at the helm of this team. Therefore, the president must ensure that the students who are assigned in the particular roles are actually performing up to standard. Yes, most of the times we blame the president for certain reasons, but really and truly, they're the ones who are supposed to ensure that the people in the separate positions are actually performing. Now, to raise awareness about the different responsibilities of the president, as Salima suggested, after the president is being elected, what you can do is make a post of the different requirements of what the president is required to do. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Trout. We move back over to Mr. Palmer. The next.
All right, guys. So the next question is for Salima and Jordan. So why did you not run for a post on the union before? And without the union experience, why should we elect you as union president? Salima, you can go first.
All right, so it's for Salima and Jordan. This question is for Salima and Jordan. Good. So Salima, go, and then Mr. Trout.
Why did I not run for a position previously? No, I didn't think that the issues that we faced over the last semester would have been an issue initially. No. Why I am running now and why I think I am eligible to run is because I've done this before and I've had multiple years of experience serving in a similar capacity. I've been the head girl since primary school, Students' Union president, which I think is a very good, was a very good experience to have, especially to be running in a position now. So I've done this before. I've been classwork when I started CMU. I've been in dialogue with administration regarding issues for my course specifically. We've reached out to Students' Union and we were told that we contacted them too late, so we had to represent ourselves. And I was one of those persons who was in that meeting ensuring that what we needed, we got. So yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Salima. Now for Jordan.
Okay, so great question for our social media people on social media. So this is a great question actually. Now, over my years, I believe that I have evolved mentally. Yes, I could have run for a position last year, but I was still evolving. It is a process for me. Now, yes, I was still occupying certain positions in clubs and so forth. Now, last school year rather, I was working with the tutorials club. I was a tutor and I was dedicating my time. I realized that, hey, Jordan Trout, there is a problem in our students' union body. You have the abilities to fix it. And I've seen these problems and I want to make the positive changes. And this is why I believe that I am running for a year president currently.
Thank you very much, Mr. Trout. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Next question, Mr. Palmer.
All right, so this question is from Jamila Green. It is posted or it is directed to Glenardo. What in your last term would you say has best equipped you with the right qualities, rather requisites to run another term, especially considering the nature of the semester? Once again, what in your last term would you say has best equipped you with the right requisites to run another term, especially considering the nature of the semester?
Thank you so much. So over to you, Glenardo Simpson. That question is for you alone.
All right, thanks, Jamila, for that question. So, as with anything, experience is critical. I would have been the person to be in dialogue, constant dialogue, that is, with administration, getting to have an understanding of how the different departments of the administration operates, the various communication channels, and I believe this is one thing, the experience that I have that will give me the nudge over other candidates. For other candidates, it will take a time for them to gel into the position. And I believe that the work that I did in getting to know the administration, getting to understand the functions of the administration, the hierarchical structure, all of these things will help me to get better results for this academic year. So yes, we argue that, hey, certain things wasn't done, certain things wasn't done as promised, but because of the experience, because of the various channels that I know of now, and the experience that I would have garnered, I believe that I am the best fitted candidate for the position, and that's why I apply for re-election. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Glenardo. I have a question for the three of you to answer. Do you think the tuition fee should be increased? Give reasons for your answer. If you say yes or no, give reason for your answer. You may start, Jordan Trout, I'm going to start with you. Do you think the tuition fee should be increased? Give reason for your answer.
Increased, Mr. Barrow. Thank you for your question, but that sounds like madness. The tuition, in a time like this, the tuition fee definitely cannot be increased. As it stays, as the tuition fee is at right now, majority of us students cannot afford it. As I stated previously, we did not go and work and travel, which was one of our main modes of earning money, and our parents were not working. Therefore, if the tuition fees were increased, we would see a lot of students dropping out of school, which would have a terrible effect on our social development in Jamaica going forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Trout. Salima, and then Glenardo.
Sir, increased. Oh Lord. At first I thought it was a mistake, but when you repeated it the second time, I realized that you're actually serious. I don't even know how to answer, because that's such a weirdly structured question, especially during a pandemic. You have persons who can barely afford food right now, much less to increase the tuition. No, that is absolutely ridiculous. The dollar is sliding, which means that our light bills are going up. Light bill, we are going to be on our laptops all day, which means that our utility bills will be more. It's ridiculous to increase the tuition. If anything, the tuition should be decreased by at least 10 to 20%, in my opinion.
Thank you very much, Salima. Over to you, Glenardo.
So in full agreement with my other candidates or opponents, there's no way, shape, or form that the tuition fee for this academic year can increase. And I am saying that without any form of question or refutation, because given the COVID pandemic, as Jordan reiterated, a lot of persons didn't get to go on the work and travel program. A lot of persons would have been laid off. Part-time students who come to school in the evenings would also be laid off from their work because of cutting hours and because of the COVID-19 restrictions. So there's no way that a university in this pandemic and with the various issues that the university is facing now could really put forward to the students that they're going to increase the tuition fees. So all I can say, that is gravely unreasonable, and that is so unlikely to happen.
Thank you very much, Mr. Simpson. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Over to Raheem Palmer with the question from social media.
All right, thank you, Mr. Barrow. Leonardo, this is a follow-up question from the first question that was asked. This one is coming from Abigail Daly, and she's asking, what would you do differently than what you did in your past year as president?
Thank you, Abigail, for that question. This question, over my tenure, I saw it as an upcoming question, because really, in fact, as a new president in office, you have to give other persons opportunity to feel them out, to see where their strengths and their weaknesses are. So I think a downfall is we need more inter-building seminars as a union to see, because sometimes even though a person might vie for a position, they might not be the best suited candidate for that position, and they might have to do a reshuffle so that the achievements or the objectives of the union can be ascertained. So personally, I believe that I would have to be a more stringent president. I would have to be take harsher decisions, certain decisions that took certain times to be dealt with will have to be taken in a more timely manner, so that the problem that we have with communication can be lessened, and so that we can have greater results. So I think from my perspective, I need to be a more stronger, a more stringent president, and we need to build more interrelationship with union members so the objective of the union can be achieved. Thank you again, Abigail.
Thank you, Mr. Simpson. Back to you, Mr. Palmer.
All right, thanks, Mr. Simpson. The next question is coming from, all right, I don't have who is coming from. Well, my bad. Anna Brown is asking this question to Salima, and she's asking, you mentioned that you are always commenting on problems that are happening, but we have never seen or heard of you speak of these issues. How do we know that it won't be all talk and no action if you are elected as president? Once again, you mentioned that you're always commenting on problems that are happening, but we have never seen or heard of you speaking on these issues. How do we know that it won't be all talk and no action if you're elected as president?
Salima, over to you.
Okay, so my course consists of 17 students. Now, I represent my course. Any issues that I'm having, which I have a lot of issues, especially for my course, persons won't know of me because I'm not from a larger course like logistics or engineering or customs. My course is basically the minority of CMU. You won't hear of me because I'm not representing the issues that you guys are facing. I'm representing the issues that are faced by me and my 16 other classmates. No, I stated earlier that I had called out the university regarding providing students with food grants or food supplies, and within 2 to 3 weeks the university had responded stating that they are going to create a food bank. Now, if I was just able to do this with my social media platform, imagine what I can do when I am in office. Like 2 months ago, I arranged a meeting with the president of the university to speak about issues that we are having with my course, and within 3 days we were able to have an online session with every student from my class who were able to come online and voice their issues. So I've been working.
Time. All right, thank you so much, Salima. Back to you, Mr. Palmer, with the other question from social media.
All right, guys. So this question is also it is aimed at Glenardo. We are aware of what some of the other union members have done during their tenure. All right, let us resume the question. This question is going to still at you, Glenardo. Why was little or no attention paid to customs while you were president? And this is coming from Krishani Bennett or Barrett. So why was little or no attention paid to customs students while you were president?
All right, Glenardo, your 1 minute begins now for your response.
Thank Krishani for that question. So there is a problem when it comes to the custom program. And the problem is that there's a feeling of segregation, not a feeling of integration. When I consulted the university with this problem, because the custom processes group were complaining that they need more infrastructure development on the campus. But I'm not sure how many of you are aware that Port Royal is a heritage site. And as a result of that, a lot really and truly cannot be done. When it comes on to systems and programs, we tried various sessions. We came a few times to have town hall meetings, and we tried to ensure that everything that we're doing is a holistic thing. It's not just for logistics, not just for engineering, but it's for all CMU students. So I know that that's a cry from the general custom process unit, but it's something that can be addressed in terms of systems, but in terms of development.
Time, Mr. Simpson, time, thank you.
No problem.
Mr. Palmer, next question.
All right. So this question is a general question, and it reads, how do you plan to manage personal life, academic life, along with the Students' Union if you are elected or re-elected as re-elected? So how do you plan to manage personal life, academic life, along with union duties if you're elected or re-elected?
So this is all the candidates, and so I'll have all the candidates respond. We'll start with Jordan Trout, then Salima Affleck, and then Glenardo Simpson.
Okay, so great question. Now, as stated before, I was a part of the Tutorials Club. So therefore, managing my time is not so much of a problem. I managed my personal life, my school life, and my club life. So therefore, I can again manage my personal life, my school life, and my life with the Students' Union body. Now, this is a thing whereby I would have to ensure that I prioritize certain things. So I know that I'm here for certain things. So I know that I'm here for you students. So therefore, I would ensure that I work hard enough to ensure that you guys, your best interest is always at heart. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Trout. Now to Ms. Affleck.
Are you hearing me?
Yeah, yes, I am hearing you. So I gather the others are hearing.
Okay, wonderful. So I believe perfect balance is what anyone who is vying for any position within the Students' Union needs. So as I mentioned before, the Student Union is not just the president. Having everybody doing their task and doing it effectively leaves everyone with enough time to make time for themselves, academics, and also their role as a member of the Student Union. So it's all about everyone doing their job, doing their role, and balancing. That's it for me. Everyone doing what they're supposed to be doing, and then you'll have enough free time to make time for your academics and for your personal life. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Simpson.
All right, everybody hearing me? Hello?
Yes, Mr. Simpson, hearing you.
Okay, perfect. So, as a person being in the position already, I can tell you that it's a trying task to be coming to school 5 days a week, to be in meetings. Sometimes I have to be out of classes to be at meetings. But as the other candidates say, you have to find that middle ground. You have to find that balance to know that, hey, my primary role as a student at the uni, at CMU is to get an education. but at the same time have to represent the students who have elected me to power. So you who would have known me personally would have known that, hey, I still managed to get a good GPA to ascertain a scholarship. I still managed to get certain things done personally, and I still managed to partake in all the union activities. And for all of the students who know me or would have seen the work that would have been done, they would have seen that, hey, this is a president who can manage all three areas effectively and efficiently. And with the new tenure, it can be reinforced and into better results. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Simpson. Back to you, Mr. Palmer, with another question.
All right, so this question is to all candidates. How do you plan to speed the transcript and status letter request process?
Go again with the question.
It is, how do you plan to speed up the transcript and the status letter process? So any letter that you receive from that can be collected from the registry, how is it that you plan to speed up this process?
All right, thank you. Starting with you, Mr. Trout, and then Salima, and then Glenard.
Okay, thank you for this question. Now, getting these official letters from the school can definitely be a problem to a student. It is a problem. Now, what I will do, I don't know if it is in the pipeline right now, but I will just ensure that we have an express system whereby students can pay an increased amount to ensure that they can get back their status letters or their transcript in a prompt manner. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Trout. Now, Ms. Affleck.
One of the issues that will make it even harder to acquire these official letters from the school is the fact that we're having a pandemic, and many students won't be able to go on campus and get these letters or even request them. So what I will do is, as I said before, lobby for there to be a portal within our SMS that will allow students to, as Jordan mentioned, pay an express fee and also pay this via Paymaster, send their requests through the portal, and they will have their letters sent to them by the university bearers within 3 to 5 business days, because you're paying for express. If it's not express, you'll have to wait the 2 weeks, but it will still be sent via post office. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now, Mr. Simpson, your turn.
I'm not sure how much of you guys can see this flyer, but when the COVID pandemic came upon us last semester, it was a big challenge, because we know that right there and then, a lot of students wouldn't be able to go on the work and travel program. So I approached the registry. Mr. Mark Bloomfield can attest to this. And we arranged an online live session where we said, how can we get this issue resolved? We partnered with the Treasury and the registry to ensure that, hey, students could call in to request the form to fill out the transcript, pay the payment to Paymaster, and then the transcript would be emailed. Well, it is really sad to know that a lot of students didn't really know about this, because you hear the presidential candidate Salima and Jordan said they didn't know about it, but a lot of students did phone me and other members of administration to find out how they can go about ascertaining the various benefits about that. So this is a program that we can build on. This is a program that we can put more resources in, proper preparation, and then we can have greater results where transcript time can be and statistical time can be less. Students can use it.
Thank you very much, Mr. Simpson. Back to you, Mr. Palmer. And for your, Mr. Palmer, we have only 4 minutes left, so we may only be able to take about 2 or 1 more question.
All right, thank you. This question is for Salima. As per the comments on YouTube, you're not a people person. Do you plan on changing that because people are afraid to approach you with certain issues?
This is a very common misconception that persons have of me now. If you know me personally, then you know that I'm a people's person. I'm a very charismatic person, and I find it very weird when people say that I'm unapproachable, because I'm always walking around with a smile plastered all over my face. I'm always laughing, I'm always smiling. And if you come up to me and ask me something, then matter of fact, I'm a very polite person. So it's a very common misconception that people think I'm unapproachable or anything. I'm one of the most charismatic and friendly persons you'll ever meet. And that's just the reality. So you'd have to get to know me in order to say differently. Thank you.
Thank you, Salima. Or one more question from your section, from that section, Mr. Palmer?
All right, so our final question, and it reads, the total cost of the noted amendments in your proposals and what innovative ways do you have to finance such apart from union dues? So once again, what's the total cost of the noted amendments in your proposal and what innovative ways do you plan to finance such apart from students' union dues? And this question is general.
So all candidates will field this question, all right? And we'll be starting with Jordan Trout, then Salima Affleck, and then Glenardo Simpson. Go ahead, Mr. Trout.
Well, financially, I did not have any plans to, but one thing that I'm sure that I will help to do is that with the problems that we're facing as it regards with the COVID pandemic, students are having problems, internet connectivity problems now. What we can do is reach out to these students and help them with getting data connection. Now, this can be funded using reallocating the funds that would be used to host work parties and so forth to help the student for a worthy cause. Now, as it relates to the financial projections, I am not sure how our coffers are at the university, but I'm certain that they will be able to assist some of you students. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Glenardo. Salima Affleck. Thank you very much, Jordan Trout. I'm sorry. Salima Affleck, your turn.
Personally, I don't think that we need to go elsewhere to finance anything that we're doing for the students, because in a breakdown of our auxiliary fee, each student pays a $2,000 student union fee. The student union has held multiple fundraising events that were supported, and I know that there were profits made. So why is it that we won't be able to use the students union money to help students? Because I'm not aware of the student union using the money to do anything else for the students. So personally, I don't believe it is fair that we source this money elsewhere. However, if we're unable to access these funds, I believe that we should reach out to our alumni members and ask them for contributions, because there's really nothing else that we can do. We can't hold any fundraising activities right now. So the most we have to do is reach out to those persons within our alumni program. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now for Glenardo Simpson.
So as seen in this debate, there is evident a lack of experience on both Salima and Jordan's part, because as a candidate, you must be optimistic to know that there will be financial issues, worse in a pandemic of this nature. So as I officially laid out in the manifesto and in this debate, there will be a COVID-19 relief grant to utilize the funds that would have been used to these same parties, same events that Salima mentioned, the Mr. and Miss CMU, the CMU Grammys, and the grants that were initially slated for the ending of last academic year. So that funds, which is in excess of $2 million, will be used as grants for students. As I also mentioned, we are trying to acquire laptop computers from the American Caribbean Maritime Foundation to be given to students who are in need, who can't purchase these computers, who can't access Wi-Fi connection, so we can meet these students at various points to have better results, and so that we can have greater results. That is. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Simpson. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Palmer, for monitoring the social media aspect for us. Now we're in the final segment. Segment 4, each candidate will be asked to give a 2-minute closing statement. This will be, and of course, after the 2-minute closing statement will be followed up by a vote, the closing remarks by me, and a vote of thanks, and that will signal the end of this year's debate. So at this time, I'm going to be inviting in the order that they presented. So it's Glenardo first, Salima second, and then Jordan last, to give their 2-minute closing statement. So starting now, Mr. Glenardo Simpson, your 2-minute segment begins now.
Thank you, Mr. Barrows. So, as mentioned earlier, there are challenges. We're not going to hide those, because in a day and age, we know that, especially in this pandemic, a lot of stuff has been happening. But I'm beseeching of you students, you would have seen the work that have been put in by this administration. You know that what we are capable of. A lot of students approach me from time to time by calls, by text, and you know I'm a people person. You know that I am capable of getting the job done. It makes no sense to bank on flawed and empty promises. As you can see, other candidates are a bit inexperienced. Jordan has a lot of potential, Salima too has a lot of potential. But in this day and age, in a pandemic of this nature, you need somebody who is experienced. You need somebody who knows how to get the job done. You need somebody that has your best interest at heart. Somebody that feels the same pain and knows that, hey, this is something that needs to be done in an urgent manner. I'm beseeching of you once more. Rise up. Let's stand and take our place. Let's make CMU great, but don't make the mistake of not re-electing Glenardo Simpson for president. You would have seen it. You would have believed it. You would have seen it being achieved. Yes, there's work to be done. You would have seen the manifesto plans. Bank on Simpson, and let's get this thing done. Let's move CMU to greater heights. Let's restore our dignity. Let's restore our pride. Let's bring cohesion, integration, and wholesomeness as a part of the union, and let's continue to be better grown young people for the betterment of our country and our economy. Thank you, and wish you all stay safe. Love you all. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Simpson. Thank you very much for your 2 minutes. And now we move to Salima Affleck for her 2-minute segment where she is presenting her closing argument.
Students, I would like you to take a look at your last year of representation. I want you to take a look at how much could have been done since school has closed in March and what was not done. There's so much more that could have been done. And the current president, he speaks so much about what he's going to do, yet still we've been in this pandemic and nothing has been done. How can you trust someone who claims to do something, yet when they were in the position, they did nothing? I need you to vote for who you know will represent you and who will do a good job at doing so. I don't want you to vote for who is your friend or who look pretty or, you know, I want you to vote for whoever you know is going to represent you and do a good job at doing so. Somebody who you know will stand up for you and someone who you know you can hold accountable for all the actions. Now, I want you to vote for me because I have your best interest at heart. For me, this position is not just a title. For me, this position gives me a platform that will enable me to use my voice, my influence, and marriage to make being a student at CMU worth the years of experience and easier for you. Thank you and continue to stay safe.
Thank you very much, Salima. We now move to Jordan Trout to present his 2-minute closing argument.
To my fellow peers, the time of experimentation is over. To my rival candidates, this role is one which is not just supposed to appear on our resumes. This role is one which requires action. To my fellow peers, with hindsight, previously, we have experienced a lackadaisical style of leadership. Do you really want to continue on that road? You have heard from all 3 of your potential candidates. Your future is now in your hands. I hope that this debate proved to be informative and help you with your decision-making process going forward. Help me improve the school experience through you. Make the right choice. Grant me with the opportunity of being your relentless voice, of being your president to enable some well-needed changes in our student life. To the other candidates who are running in this election, I wish you the best. I look forward to working with you because we know that only with teamwork the dream will work. So for better planning and execution, for equitable representation on behalf of all the different faculties, for the willingness to serve you, the students of this institution, I call on every one of you, CMUs, September 1st, to take out your phones, take out your tablets, turn on your laptops and vote. Vote for a change. Vote against delusional promises. Vote Jordan Trout for your next Student Union Body President. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Trout. Thank you so much for that. Ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of this year's debate, which is being taken place virtually, as we can appreciate being in the midst of a global pandemic. And it was no less fun than it would have been had it been face-to-face and the masses would have gathered on campus. But this evening, the candidates presented themselves and they really acquitted themselves well in answering the questions that were posed to them by the panelists, and of course by the chairman, and of course our guests and participants in social media. Now, do remember that the elections will take place will start on Tuesday, September 1 and come to at midnight on Tuesday, September 1 and come to a close at midday on Thursday, September 3. So do remember, ladies and gentlemen, that you must cast your vote. Do not be left out of this year's elections. Voting will be done online via the Student Registration System, SRS. Thank you so much for participating. At this time, we'll be asking Mr. Raheem Palmer to move a vote of thanks, after which we'll come to a close.
All right, everyone. Good evening once more. And thank you so much for joining after such a long-winded presentations. We're now at the end of today's proceeding. Let me first say thanks to candidates for coming out this evening and to showcasing themselves and to, to tell the student population how is it that they plan to move forward academic year if they're elected as presidents for the upcoming Students' Union body. To the members of the panelists, Mr. Carlos Jones, Mr. George Malcolm, Mrs. Kelleen Johnson Davis, Dr. Mark Bloomfield, and thank you guys for joining. Thanks for taking the time out to speak to ask the candidates this evening. Mrs. Walker Brown, thank you also for joining. Also, I want to say thank you to Mr. Barr for using the time this evening to run meetings. Finally, I want to just give a charge to those who are watching on YouTube that you need to exercise your vote and your rights when the election days come. On September 1st at midnight and to September 3rd, you're asked to come out, vote for your candidates. You have seen their manifestos and their plans for the upcoming year on the Instagram page. Use those to choose the right person. And that's it. On the day that we provide the votes, may the best candidates win. Once again, thank you all for joining us. A wonderful rest of the evening and stay safe.